Chosen one, lock your attention on this message right now. That voice in the back of your mind telling you to keep scrolling, silence it. What I am about to say was not meant for everyone. It was meant for you. The enemy is working overtime today for one reason and one reason only. He knows this message only comes once, and if you miss it, he buys himself more time. It all shifts after this. The confusion, the stagnation, the feeling that you have been running in place for months. But here is what you need to understand before I go any further. The shift is not coming because of luck. It is coming because of what you have already done. Think back to that moment this week when everything in you wanted to react, to fight back, to prove yourself. And you did not. You pulled back. You went quiet. You let it go, even when it cost you something. You thought that was weakness. You thought you lost that moment. But let me tell you what actually happened in the spiritual realm when you made that decision. You signed a document. You triggered a sequence. You moved something that no amount of noise could have moved. You did not stumble onto this message. The algorithm did not surface this for you. The Most High did. This is a divine appointment that was scheduled before you had a name. You are not browsing. You are standing at a threshold. Do not scroll past this. Your future self, the one who finally walks into everything that has been promised, that version of you is begging you to stay. Because if you leave now, you leave before the verdict is read. In the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the legal decree that cancels the assignment that has been running against your life in this season. I am going to walk you through the exact moments this week where you won the battle, even while you were convinced you were losing. And at the end, I am going to give you a declaration so precise that it seals this door shut permanently. Stay until the last second. Every second matters here. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. It has not just been difficult, it has been strange, heavy in a way that does not have a clean explanation, like the pressure in the air shifts, and something that used to feel manageable now feels suffocating. Maybe you were lying in bed this week staring at the ceiling at 3 in the morning, not anxious about anything specific, just aware that something was pressing down on you and you could not name it. Or maybe you were in the middle of an ordinary moment, making coffee, sitting in traffic, folding laundry, and out of nowhere, a wave of exhaustion hit you so deep it felt like it was living in your bones, not just your body. Maybe you looked at what your life is supposed to look like and then looked at what it actually looks like right now. And the gap between those two things felt unbearable. You feel suspended, like you are in between the life you had and the life you were promised, between the old version of yourself and the one you know you are becoming. And in that space, in that strange and heavy in-between, the enemy has found his opening. Because in the silence of that suspension, he has been whispering a very specific lie. Listen to your own thoughts for a moment. He is telling you that the reason everything feels stalled is because of something you did. He is replaying a specific moment. Maybe the moment you walked away from someone who needed you. Maybe the moment you gave up on something you had been building. Maybe the moment you said nothing when you should have spoken, or spoke when you should have been silent. He is running that moment on a loop, and he is telling you that because of it, you have disqualified yourself. He is telling you the blessing has been delayed because of you, that the clock has reset, that you have to go around this mountain one more time. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. Nahum 1:9 says, "What do you conspire against the Lord? He will make an utter end of it. Affliction shall not rise up the second time." Hear that. Affliction shall not rise up the second time. The enemy is not trying to defeat you. He already knows he cannot defeat you. What he is trying to do is convince you that you are still in a cycle. Because if he can keep you believing you are going around again, he can steal the energy you need for the final push. But this is not a cycle. This is a conclusion. The heaviness you are carrying is not the weight of punishment. It is the weight of finality. It is the feeling of something enormous coming to its end. That pressure in your chest is not condemnation. It is the cord being pulled to its absolute limit right before it breaks. You think that moment you walked away was a failure. You think the silence was defeat. You think the fact that you stopped pushing, stopped performing, stopped trying to hold everything together means you gave up at exactly the wrong time. Let me reframe your entire reality right now. That was not a mistake. That was a strategy. That restraint, that stillness, that moment where you chose to release rather than grip harder, that was the move that changed everything. You did not ruin this. You completed it. This message will not find you again. It found you now, because now is the moment. Do not let it pass. What do you conspire against the Lord? He will make an utter end of it. Affliction shall not rise up the second time. That verse was not written for a general audience. It was written for the person who has been fighting the same battle long enough to wonder if the battle is permanent. It was written for you. And before we go any further, I need you to understand something about why you are here right now, in this moment, watching this particular message on this particular day. Some messages don't just inform, they activate. If something stirred deep in your spirit just now, you may be ready to receive the Chosen One's blueprint. This sacred guide reveals the 8 divine patterns behind your calling, your suffering, and your destiny. It also comes with the full audiobook, so you can absorb it during prayer, rest, or quiet moments with God. And for those called to speak His truth, you'll also receive Activating Your Prophet Mantle, a powerful bonus ebook for those carrying a prophetic assignment. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Now let me take you back into what actually happened when you made that quiet decision this week. The one where you chose not to react, where you swallowed something that deserved to be said and released something that deserved to be defended. This was not a passive moment, not a simple oversight, but a profound and often agonizing act of internal mastery. You felt the burning sensation of injustice, the rightful indignation rising within you, the sharp sting of a boundary crossed or a truth distorted. Every fiber of your being urged you to speak, to lash out, to correct, to reclaim. Yet, in that crucible of tension, you made a deliberate, conscious choice to hold your tongue, to rein in your spirit, to step back from the brink of immediate retribution or vindication. You have been calling that a loss. You have been carrying it like a small shame, a minor defeat, evidence that maybe you are not as strong as you need to be to survive what is coming. You might have replayed the scenario countless times, wondering if you missed an opportunity, if you should have stood your ground more forcefully, if your silence was an act of cowardice rather than courage. But the kingdom does not operate on human logic, and what looks like retreat in the natural is often the most aggressive, the most strategic, and indeed, the most powerful move you can make in the spirit. This act of quiet restraint was not weakness. It was a demonstration of immense spiritual strength, a refusal to engage on terms dictated by external chaos, a profound declaration that your peace and your purpose are not subject to the whims of others or the provocations of the moment. It was an internal battle won, a testament to a deeper wisdom growing within you, a wisdom that understands the profound power of self-control. As Proverbs 16:32 declares, "He who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city." You weren't losing ground. You were fortifying your inner citadel. You weren't retreating. You were strategically positioning yourself for a divine counter-move. Think about Elijah on the mountain. Not the Elijah calling fire from heaven, that spectacular display of divine power on Mount Carmel, a prophet standing boldly against 450 prophets of Baal. not the Elijah running ahead of Ahab's chariot, infused with supernatural speed, outpacing the royal procession after a miraculous rain. No, I want you to consider the Elijah under the juniper tree, a lone, exhausted figure slumped in the wilderness, far from the roar of the crowd and the thrill of victory. He was asking God to take his life, telling the Most High that he had had enough. This was the raw, unvarnished cry of a soul pushed to its absolute limit, stripped bare of all pretense and performance. Every human reading of that moment calls it a breakdown. We might judge him for his fear, his despair, his seeming lack of faith after such mighty acts. But God's response was not rebuke. It was not a lecture on courage or a demand for renewed spiritual fortitude. It was rest. It was bread. It was the gentle touch of an angel, providing physical and spiritual sustenance. It was the quiet voice that came not in the mighty wind that tore the mountains, nor in the earthquake that shook the ground, nor in the roaring fire that consumed everything, but in something small and still that you can only hear when you have finally stopped performing. This profound encounter, detailed in 1 Kings 19, reveals a divine tenderness often overlooked. God met Elijah in his utter exhaustion, not despite it, but because his exhaustion was honest. His vulnerability was an open door, a surrender of his own perceived strength, and honest exhaustion, a genuine laying down of our efforts and our pride before God, is closer to breakthrough than any manufactured strength, any forced smile, or any feigned spiritual resilience. It is in that space of profound honesty that God truly begins to move, not through our efforts, but through our surrender, revealing his power, made perfect in our weakness, as affirmed in 2 Corinthians 12:9. That is precisely what your silence was this week. It was not weakness dressed up in a cloak of meekness. It was not a failure of nerve or a deficiency of spirit. On the contrary, it was a profound act of spiritual authenticity, a deep, resonant honesty landing in a spiritual register that God responds to with immediate and profound attention. It was the sound of your spirit leaning into trust, a testament to your growing maturity in discerning when to engage and when to yield. And he responded. You may not have heard a booming voice or seen a visible sign, but in the unseen realms, your quiet integrity sent shockwaves of divine approval, setting in motion a cascade of heavenly interventions. But here's where it goes deeper, where the initial flicker of understanding becomes a blazing revelation, because that silence, that singular act of withholding your reaction, was only the very beginning of what shifted. When you pulled back, when you made that quiet, often agonizing and profoundly costly decision not to push back, not to strive to prove your point, not to perform for the approval or understanding of others, you did something even more significant than you know. You didn't just avoid a confrontation, you interrupted a pattern. You broke a cycle that had perhaps held you captive for far too long, a predictable loop of reaction and counter-reaction that the enemy thrives upon. And this, my friend, is the critical part, the profound insight that most people miss entirely, remaining trapped in the visible drama while the real battle is being won or lost in the quiet choices of the soul. The enemy, in all his ancient cunning, is not afraid of your noise. He has heard your fervent declarations before. He has watched you bind and loose, decree and declare, often with a wry, knowing smile, because he understands that noise can often be a smokescreen for inner turmoil, or an attempt to manifest what hasn't been truly cultivated in the spirit. He is adept at turning your well-meaning but reactive spiritual warfare into a predictable dance, a familiar battleground where he can anticipate your every move. What he cannot counter, what truly disarms him and shatters his strategies, is your stillness. And let us be clear, this is not passivity, absolutely not. There is a profound, life-altering difference Passivity is giving up because you have succumbed to resignation, believing nothing matters, yielding to a spirit of apathy and defeat. Stillness, on the other hand, is a conscious, active and deeply rooted release. A profound act of faith born from an unwavering trust in the one who holds the outcome in his sovereign hands. It is the spiritual equivalent of stepping off the battlefield, not in surrender, but in absolute confidence that a greater power is now taking command. The enemy's entire strategy depends on keeping you reactive, constantly on edge, always responding to his provocations, because when you react, he effectively controls the terms of engagement, dictating the narrative and draining your spiritual energy. But when you consciously choose to go still, to anchor yourself in the unshakable presence of God, the terms of engagement belong entirely to him. You shift the battle from the natural realm, where your strength can be measured and counted, to the spiritual realm, where his limitless power reigns supreme. This stillness becomes a powerful vortex, drawing down heavenly resources and confounding every demonic scheme, for in your quiet trust, you declare that the Lord of hosts is indeed fighting on your behalf. This understanding casts a new light on your journey. Proverbs 21:31 says the horse is prepared for the day of battle, but the victory belongs to the Lord. That word prepared is not a casual inclusion, it is profoundly important. It speaks to a process, a forging, a deep work that precedes triumph. You, my friend, have been in preparation, and not just any preparation, but a divine, meticulous, and often arduous process designed by the master craftsman. This season of preparation has stretched on, longer than felt comfortable, longer than felt fair, longer than your human logic could comprehend. It has been a season of deep spiritual conditioning, forging resilience in your spirit, expanding your capacity for trust, and refining your character in ways that have not been visible to the naked eye. These have been private places where only heaven could witness the stripping away, the molding, the quiet strengthening. These have been quiet rooms where no one gave you credit for what you chose not to do, for the sacrifices unseen, for the battles won in the silent chambers of your heart. You felt overlooked, perhaps even forgotten, but God's eye was upon you, observing every growth, every surrender, every faithful breath. And coming up in just a moment, the thing that has been secretly sustaining you through this entire arduous season, the thing you have been dismissing as ordinary, perhaps even insignificant, but which has quietly, powerfully been your greatest weapon all along. Stay with me, truly lean in, because this revelation will fundamentally change how you see the last several months, perhaps even years, of your life entirely, allowing you to reframe every perceived setback as a divine setup. But first, this foundational truth has to truly land and embed itself deep within your spirit, uprooting old paradigms. You have, quite naturally, been measuring your progress by what is visible to the eye, by the tangible outcomes that manifest in the material world. You've looked at the things that have seemingly come through, the prayers that have been answered precisely the way you asked them to be answered, the doors that have opened wide with clear invitation, the relationships that have been restored to their former glory. And when you measure only by what is visible, by the external metrics of success and immediate gratification, this season inevitably looks like failure. It looks like a barren drought, a parched desert where nothing grows, where your efforts seem to yield no fruit. It looks and feels like God went quiet, withdrawing his presence and his voice at exactly the moment you needed him loudest, when your soul cried out for a clear sign or a comforting word. But this measurement by visibility, this reliance on external evidence as the sole compass for your journey, is a cunning trap that the enemy sets specifically for people at your level of spiritual maturity. For the higher you ascend in your calling, the deeper you go in your walk with God, the less the visible is allowed to be your compass, or indeed to be a reliable indicator of what God is actually doing. God is intentionally training you to navigate by something far deeper, far more profound than what you can see or feel or logically discern. He is preparing you for a realm of influence that demands a different kind of sight, spiritual sight. And let me be honest, the training is not gentle, it is not quick, and it is certainly not comfortable. It strips away every false sense of security, every reliance on external confirmation. But it is profoundly intentional, every single discomfort meticulously orchestrated by a loving Father who sees the end from the beginning and is crafting you into a vessel capable of carrying His glory in unprecedented ways. Just as a master sailor learns to navigate not only by the visible shoreline, but by the unseen currents, the constellations, and the subtle shifts in the wind, so too are you being taught to perceive the invisible hand of God at work, even when all human evidence suggests otherwise. David, the shepherd king, understood this profound paradox intimately. Between the glorious sacred moment when Samuel anointed his head with oil in front of his brothers, marking him as God's chosen king, and the eventual day, many years later, when he actually sat on the throne of Israel, there stretched an entire lifetime of wilderness. There were years, long, arduous years, in which he was anointed by God but overlooked by man, called to destiny but not yet confirmed by circumstances, chosen for greatness but still running for his life from a mad king. And in those desolate testing years, every single external circumstance, every outward display of power and authority was telling him a story completely contrary to the one God had spoken over his life. Saul, the very man he was prophesied to replace, was still firmly on the throne, wielding power, issuing commands, and worse, actively hunting David. The armies of Israel were still loyal to the wrong king, to a leader whose season had long passed. The chasm, the seemingly insurmountable gap between the anointing he had received and the appointing he yearned for, felt like a cruel abandonment, a divine oversight, or perhaps even a retraction of God's promise. But what was actually happening in those protracted hidden years was that God was meticulously, powerfully building something deep within David's private life, something so robust and foundational that it alone could sustain the immense weight of a public anointing and a national calling. The cave, the rugged, lonely cave of Adullam where he hid, where the outcasts gathered around him, where he poured out his heart in psalms of anguish and hope, that cave was not a place of exile or punishment. That cave was a profound, divine curriculum. It was a classroom without walls, a training ground where character was forged, where leadership was tested and refined not by strength of arms, but by the depth of his reliance on God, where he learned to shepherd not just sheep, but broken men, where he learned the language of worship in the darkest nights, and where he encountered the very heart of God in profound intimacy. It was there in the obscurity of the cave that David was truly prepared to be a king after God's own heart, a man capable of holding the weight of a nation. You too, my beloved friend, have been in the cave. You have navigated its darkness, its solitude, its moments of raw fear and uncertainty. And I need you, right here, right now, to stop apologizing for it. Stop feeling shame for the seasons of obscurity, for the moments when you felt hidden, unseen, or unproductive by the world's standards. The cave is not a mark of your failure. It is a testament to God's precise, loving, and thorough work within you. It is a sacred space where the master builder is perfecting his design, preparing you for a future that will far exceed your present understanding. Embrace the cave, for it is the crucible of your coming glory. What's coming next will likely surprise you, perhaps even stun you with its deceptive simplicity, because the profound truths of God often appear ordinary to the untrained eye. The weapon you have been consistently overlooking, The daily practice you have been treating as ordinary and insufficient, as just getting by, is the very thing that has been discreetly, yet powerfully, keeping the full force of the enemy's assignment against your life from landing and taking root. And once you truly see it, once this truth illuminates your understanding, you will not be able to unsee it. It will forever reframe your perspective on every single day you have lived through. The weapon, the silent, unassuming powerhouse that has shielded you, is your continued faithfulness in the mundane. It is not found in the dramatic, explosive moments of intense prayer and fasting, though those have their place. It is not solely defined by the powerful spiritual high points, the mountaintop experiences where God's presence is palpable and overwhelming. No, this weapon is forged in the quiet, unglamorous decision to simply get up again the next morning, to put one foot in front of the other, even when your soul feels weary and your vision seems dim. It is the unheralded act of taking care of the small thing directly in front of you, the daily duties, the seemingly insignificant responsibilities, the quiet acts of service, even when the magnificent sweeping promise you were given still has not manifested. It is the unwavering commitment to keep your integrity intact, to hold on to your values, to walk in righteousness in a moment where absolutely no one was watching, where the temptation to let it slip would have cost you nothing in the eyes of the world, but everything in the eyes of heaven. Every single time you chose faithfulness in the ordinary, in the seemingly unremarkable rhythms of your everyday life, you were not just passing time. You were actively, strategically building a robust spiritual infrastructure, an impenetrable fortress around your destiny that the enemy's assignment cannot, will not, penetrate. He was tirelessly searching for a crack, a fissure, a moment of compromise, a lapse in your quiet vigilance to exploit. But you, in your steadfast, uncelebrated obedience, kept closing them. Not dramatically, not with grand pronouncements, but quietly, consistently, diligently, in the everyday choices that define who you are when no one is watching. And that, my friend, is a form of spiritual warfare that does not look like warfare at all, which is precisely why it is so profoundly effective and catches the enemy completely off guard. It is the steady drip of grace, the constant cultivation of character, the quiet accumulation of righteous choices that forms an unassailable shield around your purpose. This is where the real transformation begins to accelerate, where the understanding you've gained tonight shifts from revelation to activation. Because now that you truly understand what has actually been happening in the unseen realms, now that you grasp the profound power of your quiet faithfulness and the divine purpose behind your seasons of obscurity, you have to reckon with the next, often uncomfortable but utterly crucial thing. And this is the part that no one wants to hear, the truth that often chafes against our human desire for certainty and comfort. But it is the part that matters most right now for your liberation and your forward movement. You have been waiting for external confirmation before you dare to take the next bold step. You have been waiting for someone else, a human voice, a visible sign to see what God already sees so clearly in you. You've been seeking a sign that is visible enough, specific enough, undeniable enough that you would finally feel utterly safe, utterly validated, and completely justified in moving forward. And on the surface, this posture sounds incredibly wise. It sounds like spiritual discernment, like prudent caution, like commendable patience. We're taught to pray for wisdom, to seek counsel. But if you are brutally honest with yourself, if you bravely look beneath the polished surface of that perceived wisdom, you will find something else entirely lurking there. It is fear, masterfully dressed in the language of faith. It is the same insidious voice that has repeatedly told you to disqualify yourself, to question your worth, to believe you had ruined things beyond repair. Now, seeing that you did not believe that lie, it has pivoted its strategy, becoming more subtle, more deceptive. Now it is cunningly telling you that you just need a little more confirmation before you move, a little more time to gather evidence, a little more clarity before you commit. And the problem is not that seeking confirmation is inherently wrong or unwise. The problem is profoundly specific. The kind of confirmation you are currently waiting for is simply not coming, not in the way you expect it to come, because it's designed to keep you stalled. It is a delay tactic, cloaked in spiritual-sounding terms, designed to hold you captive in the waiting room of your destiny. This brings us to a foundational principle of the kingdom, a truth that runs like a golden thread through every story of breakthrough and triumph in Scripture. God does not give certainty before obedience. He gives it after. He calls you to step out, to act on a whisper, to move in faith. And it is in that very act of courageous obedience that clarity is granted, that the path becomes illuminated, that the certainty solidifies. This is the divine pattern, an unwavering principle that governs spiritual progression. Consider Noah, a man living in a world completely unacquainted with rain, let alone a flood of such catastrophic proportions. He did not receive confirmation that the flood was truly coming by watching the sky darken with ominous clouds or seeing rivers overflow their banks. No, he received it in the secret place of his spirit, a profound inner knowing from God. And then he built. For 100 long, ridiculed years, he built a monumental ark, day after day, in the complete absence of any visible natural evidence that the word spoken to him was real. He built because he believed, not because he saw. Abraham, the father of faith, did not receive confirmation that Isaac, the child of promise, would eventually come before he left Ur of the Chaldeans, abandoning everything familiar and secure. He received the audacious promise of a lineage that would become nations, and then he simply moved, step by faith-filled step. The intricate details of how the promise would manifest were not laid out in advance. They were miraculously worked out as he walked, as he journeyed into the unknown, trusting the character of the one who called him. And just when you think you have sat with that radical truth long enough, allowing it to penetrate the layers of your conventional thinking, there is one more profound layer beneath it, an even deeper insight that will finally, irrevocably, break the cycle of waiting and bring you into the fullness of your inheritance. Because the ultimate truth, the hidden core of this entire struggle, is that the confirmation you have so desperately been seeking from others is actually a deflection, a subconscious maneuver to avoid stepping into the awesome power of your own divine calling. Somewhere along this journey, a voice entered your narrative, a person whose opinion mattered too much to you at a formative moment, and they told you a story about who you were, about your limitations, about your capabilities, about your place in the world, that you were never ever meant to carry. They may not have even known the profound, long-lasting impact they were having. It may have been a well-meaning parent, a respected pastor, a trusted friend, a cherished mentor, or even a person you loved deeply who, for their own reasons, perhaps consciously or unconsciously, could not hold the overwhelming weight of what they truly saw in you, the potential, the anointing, the vastness of your destiny, and so they minimized it. They might have dismissed your dreams, cautioned you against being too much, or subtly implied you weren't ready, not gifted enough, or simply too ordinary for such a grand assignment. And you, in your innocence and your desire for connection or validation, received their words as immutable truth. You filed them away somewhere deep near the very center of your identity, allowing them to become a part of your self-perception, a silent contract. And now, years later, when God Himself is unequivocally calling you forward, inviting you to step into the glorious future He has meticulously prepared for you, you are still, tragically, asking for permission. still seeking validation from a voice that no longer authentically speaks into your life, and in some cases, from a voice that was never ever qualified by heaven to define you in the first place. Their words, once spoken, became a spiritual anchor, holding you back from sailing into your divine purpose. This, then, is the hidden root, the true impediment, the spiritual entanglement that has bound you more effectively than any external force. It is not ultimately the enemy, though he certainly capitalizes on it. It is not your past failures, though they often whisper accusations. It is not solely the spiritual warfare you have endured, though that is a very real reality. No, the core issue is the agreement you made with a human interpretation of your life, a narrative that directly, fundamentally contradicts the divine one that God Himself has spoken over you. It is this unseen, internal contract, this silent pact with a limited human perspective, that acts as a spiritual governor holding you back. And until that agreement is consciously, deliberately, and irrevocably broken in the spirit, you will keep arriving at the very threshold of your breakthrough, feeling the pull of destiny, only to inexplicably pull back. You will keep getting tantalizingly close to stepping into your next season, only to find a compelling, seemingly logical reason to wait, to hesitate, to postpone. This isn't because you are faithless, or weak, or lacking in spiritual resolve. It is because there is a powerful, deeply embedded voice, an echo of that old agreement, running underneath your faith. A subconscious authority that holds more sway in your decisions than it rightfully should, effectively hijacking your will and keeping you circling the same mountain again and again. Let me be absolutely precise about what has to happen right now, in this sacred moment, for your complete liberation. You have to consciously, deliberately, and out loud revoke the authority you inadvertently gave that voice, that human narrative, that limited perspective. This is a spiritual act of immense power, a reclaiming of your divine sovereignty. Name the exact moment if you can retrieve it from the depths of your memory. Name the person if you need to, not with an intention to wound them, not to reopen old wounds or revisit that pain, but purely to identify precisely what agreement you entered into and to formally, legally, and spiritually break that agreement. Because agreements in the spirit, whether conscious or unconscious, are not broken by simply ignoring them, by hoping they will fade away. They are broken by the same powerful mechanism that created them in the first place, by a word, a clear, intentional word, spoken with the full weight of your will, witnessed by heaven itself. It is a declaration in the courts of God, a legal nullification of a contract that was never meant to bind your spirit. Speak it with conviction, with the authority granted to you as a chosen one of God, and watch as the invisible chains fall away, shattering the power of that limiting voice forever. And here is the part, the unexpected truth underneath all of it, the profound revelation that changes everything, that will absolutely reframe every single word you have heard tonight, illuminating your entire past journey with divine light. The delay, the long, arduous seasons of waiting, the periods of perceived stagnation, the moments when you felt stuck and unseen, that delay was never, not for a single second, the enemy winning. Oh no. The delay was God Himself, meticulously, lovingly, and powerfully protecting the very promise He placed inside you until you were standing in a place, a spiritual and emotional space, a dimension of being where the assignment against your life, the old darkness, the familiar attacks, could no longer follow you into it. Every door that seemingly closed in your face was not a rejection of your destiny, but a divine redirection, sealing off paths that would have led you back to old battles. Every relationship that ended, no matter how painful, was God removing a connection that would have hindered your progress or pulled you back into toxic patterns. Every season that felt like a barren drought, a period of desolation, Was God diligently, secretly building deep, unseen wells within your spirit, cultivating resilience and drawing you into profound intimacy with Him? He was not withholding the blessing. He was finishing the container. He was not denying you your breakthrough. He was perfecting the vessel, crafting it with such divine precision that it could hold the immense glory and power of what was coming without shattering, without compromise, without being vulnerable to the old assignments. And now that the container is ready, now that the season of stripping away every pretense, the season of profound silence, and the season of faithful obscurity has done its deep, transformative work within you, the only thing left, the absolute final step, is your agreement. Not your perfect performance, not your flawless execution, not your worthiness measured by the shifting, fickle standards of humanity. Just your simple yet radical agreement that what God said about you is true, beyond all doubt, beyond all human contradiction. Just your willingness, your audacious courage, to walk forward on His word alone, without needing or waiting for the world to confirm what heaven has already eternally decreed over your life. Place your hand on your heart and declare this with me right now. I release every agreement I made with any voice that was never authorized to define me. I cancel every label placed on me by people who could not see what heaven sees. I break every cycle of delay that was rooted in fear dressed as wisdom. And I declare that I am not going around this mountain again. I am not in a cycle. I am at a conclusion. I receive the fullness of what has been prepared for me in this season. I am not behind. I am not disqualified. I am not forgotten. I am chosen. I am ready, and I step forward now, not when the world confirms it, not when it feels safe, not when I have more evidence, but now, by faith, on the word alone. The assignment against my life is cancelled. The door behind me is sealed. And the life I was promised is not coming. It is here, and I walk into it beginning today. If this message reached something in you that needed reaching, do not let it live only in this moment. Carry it forward. Let it resonate. Share it with someone who is in their cave right now. Someone who has been misreading their silence as failure. Someone who needs to hear that the cord is being pulled to its absolute limit right before it breaks. Right before the divine snapping point that releases them into their freedom. And if you are ready to go even deeper into the divine patterns behind your calling, the link in the first pinned comment is waiting for you. But do not wait too long. This word has a shelf life, and so does the window you are standing in right now, a sacred window of opportunity that is poised to open wide.